Hi, and welcome to Stories with Sarah. My name's Sarah, and today I'll be reading a Russian fairy tale. The title is The Man Who Did Not Know Fear. I hope you enjoy. In a certain kingdom, there lived a merchant's son, strong and brave, who from his youth had never feared anything. He wanted to know fear, and set forth to travel through the world with a laborer. After a long time, or a short time, they came to a thick forest, and at this moment, as though by design, night fell. "Drive into the forest," said the merchant's son. Master," said the laborer, "it is fearsome to drive there. It's night, and we may be attacked by beasts or assailed by robbers." "Are you afraid, or what?" "Do what I order you to do," said the merchant's son. They drove into the forest, and after a while they saw a corpse hanging on a tree. The laborer was even more frightened than before, but the merchant's son remained calm. He removed the corpse from the tree, put it in his carriage, and ordered the laborer to drive on. After an hour or two they came to a big house. In its windows were lights. "That is fine," said the merchant's son. "We have a shelter for the night." But the laborer objected. "I would rather spend the night in the woods than in this house. We might fall into robbers' hands. They will rob us of everything we have, and we may even lose our lives." In fact, robbers did live in that house, but the merchant's son refused to heed the laborer's words, opened the gate himself, and drove into the courtyard. He unharnessed his horses, and taking the laborer with him, walked into the house. They found the robbers sitting around a big table, all of them richly dressed with fine sabers at their belts, drinking a variety of drink and eating fish. "Good evening, gentlemen," the merchant's son said. "Invite me to your table to eat and drink with you." The robbers looked at him, wondering what kind of man he was, and did not answer. The uninvited guests came to the table. The merchant's son took a piece of fish, ate it, and said, "Well, gentlemen, your fish is no good at all. Laborer, bring that white sturgeon we have in our carriage." The laborer went out and brought the corpse. The merchant's son put the corpse on the table, cut off a piece of it with a knife, smelled it, and cried, "No, that sturgeon's no good either. Laborer, catch some live fish." And he pointed at the robbers, who in their fright scattered in all directions and hid wherever they could. "Well, you were frightened," said the merchant's son to the laborer, "but what is there to fear? Let us sit down and have our supper." They sat down, ate and drank, but did not stay for the night. They harnessed their horses and continued on their way. They came to a graveyard. "Stop," said the merchant's son. "We will spend the night here." Again the laborer protested. "It is terrible here. The dead rise up at night." "Ah, what kind of fellow are you?" said the merchant's son. "You are afraid of everything." They stopped and lay down to rest on a grave. The merchant's son fell asleep, but the laborer could not sleep. Suddenly, a dead man in a white shroud, who seemed of enormous size, rose from that grave. He fell upon the merchant's son and began to strangle him. The merchant's son awoke, knocked the dead man under him, and began to turn to beat and torment him in every possible way. The dead man suffered blow after blow and finally began to beg for grace. "I might let you go," said the merchant's son, "if you promise to bring me within the hour the daughter of such and such a king who lives beyond the thrice ninth land." "I will bring her, only let me go," said the dead man. The merchant's son let him go, and an hour later a sleeping princess appeared near his carriage, on the same bed in which she ordinarily rested in her royal palace. The merchant's son did not rouse the princess, but waited till she awoke by herself, and upon his return home he made her his lawful wife. The merchant's son traveled a great deal in various lands, but never experienced fear. He came home, and this is what happened to him one day. He had a great passion for fishing. He spent entire nights and days on the river. His mother greatly disliked his being away from home for such long stretches of time, and she asked the fisherman to frighten him somehow. The fisherman caught perches and, seizing an opportunity, when the merchant's son dozed off in his boat, quietly sailed towards him and put a few perches in his bosom. The perches began to wriggle, and the merchant's son awoke, was frightened, and fell into the water, but managed to save himself. Then, for the first time, he learned what it means to be afraid. And that was The Man Who Did Not Know Fear. I hope you enjoyed.